What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 3 update show for my real 2018 roster, the number one community roster for Madden 18 on Xbox One. So here we're going to be talking about the biggest risers and fallers from what I saw on film from the third week of the NFL season. And I do appreciate your guys' patience. I know I said I wanted to get this video out on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I've been a little more busy early in the week, and I still need the time to rewatch all the games. So I do promise to get the roster update done before the next week commences, which is, the Thursday night kickoff. As far as this video goes, I'm going to still try and get it out as soon as I can, but it might not come out till Fridays. So I do appreciate you guys' patience on that. So without further ado, let's get into it here, starting with the stars of the week, our biggest risers, and starting with DeMarcus Lawrence, defensive end for the Cowboys, a former first-round pick. Definitely starting to finally show that potential as a number one pass rusher in this league. With Sean Lee hurt right now, he is honestly the only guy making plays for this Cowboys defense. He's going to have to keep this up for this team, and if he does, he's going to keep rising in the ratings, but seems to have that questionable past behind him. He's dealt with suspensions in the past, but again, definitely looking like a number one pass rusher right now, also making plays in the run game. So a +4 for DeMarcus Lawrence. Another DN going up this week, Takarist McKinley, defensive end, rookie for the Falcons, a player I did not love coming out of the draft. I thought he was a little undersized and didn't really know if he was going to be a good pass rusher in this league, and frankly, we still don't know that. He had a sack this week, but it was against Greg Robinson. We're not going to, celebrate that too much, but he looks bigger than I ever saw in his college film, and he looks great in the run defense, gap control, controlling his man, shedding the block at the right time. Something that, honestly, this defense lacks is the discipline and gap control. Vic Beasley certainly doesn't have that. He's a great pass rusher, but is frankly terrible in run defense. So seeing how good Tak has looked in the run defense seems to explain that pick a little more as a guy that fits really well into what this team needs. So +4 for McKinley. And then another rookie defensive end also going up this week, +3, Carl Lawson. Now Lawson, a fourth-round pick, a player I loved. If you go back and watch my mock draft, I thought he should have gone in the top 15. He has become my ex-team should have drafted this player of this year. And he looks great as a pass rusher, a true edge rusher with size, speed, combination. Had 3.5 sacks last week, granted against some poor replacement level depth for the Packers. But Carl Lawson now getting into that upper echelon of defensive rookies now on my roster, and a player I think is going to continue to grow excellent for this Bengals team. And if I'm a Bengals fan, I know they're feeling kind of a bad way right now at 0-3, but when I look at this roster, I see a ton of young talent. They got another guy rising this week, which we'll talk about in a minute, but Joe Mixon looks great, and they haven't even really seen John Ross. It's a great upcoming quarterback class. If they do really struggle this year, they could end up with a high pick, get a good quarterback, and have a fast turnaround there in the AFC North. So moving on, our last star of the week is Jared Goff, a player that I've kind of defended throughout the summer that people need to give him a chance, which he didn't have a fighting chance last year. But Andrew Whitworth comes in, John Sullivan, not a physically gifted center at this point, but just a guy that knows what he's doing there at center. And all of a sudden, in a league where there is almost no offensive line play, the Rams have an above-average offensive line, and Jared Goff is showing why he was the number one overall pick. Obviously, I still like Carson Wentz more, but there is no reason Jared Goff can't continue on this path and become everything that Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, and those guys are. Can make all the throws. I think his pocket awareness has some left to be desired, but he's still young, and we've seen quarterbacks in this league really develop that as they play more and more, which obviously makes sense. So Jared Goff +2. And now it's time to talk about the fallers this week. So starting again with the Cowboys, it's Lyle Collins, a player that has disappointed to this point. He is struggling at right tackle. Now the Cowboys paid him as a right tackle this offseason before they even saw him play. And he got the physical talent, obviously, but he's got to figure some things out. He's not looking great in either run blocking or pass blocking. And he's a big reason why that Cowboys offensive line is not as good as it was last year, and why Zeke's not having as good a year and all of it. And why Dak Prescott hasn't looked very good either. So also falling this week is Eric Ebron. Matthew Stafford was clearly very frustrated with Ebron. Multiple drops last week, a very costly one. I believe it was on third down. And if he converts that, who knows? The Lions might have gone down and taken control of that game in the fourth quarter. They were playing real tough. I picked them to win that game. They let me down. But Eric Ebron has not reached his ceiling. He's still very athletic, good at getting open, but he's got a long way to go before he turns into Jordan Reed out there, which he has the potential to do. But you got to at least catch the ball before you're Jordan Reed. And then another tight end going down -2 is Martellus Bennett. He had some drop issues, but he's definitely showing us that, at least me, I know other people had been saying this. I wasn't sure where I stood on Bennett entirely. Anyway, he is not at the receiving caliber of Jordan Reed, Greg Olsen, Gronk, Travis Kelce, all those guys where Bennett was rated pretty closely to in my roster. Still a great blocker, definitely no doubt about that, and still one of the scariest guys with the ball in his hand. But as far as his ability to get open and catch the ball, definitely much lower than those top-end guys. So he comes down to earth just a little bit, so to say. And then Nate Solder, left tackle for the Patriots. He's struggling. He gave up 2 sacks last week. He was rated pretty high, so he's coming down more into that top 15, 16 range for left tackles and away from that top 10 range. So that actually is all the players that fell this week. So just 4 fallers this week. We do have some more risers that we're going to run through here. So for the Bears, Tariq Cohen getting +3 has already been coming up, but he is really showing that he's more than a third down back. He is tough to find running between the tackles, a little reminiscent of Ray Rice and MJD back in those days. A $180 is pretty heavy for 5'6". He's got the ability between the tackles that should have been a walk-off touchdown on a huge run where he looked amazing. So Tariq Cohen entering that top 30 echelon of running backs. And then Marcus Cooper actually gets +2 this week. He had that embarrassing play on the big return on the block field goal, but as far as his ability to play corner, he looks pretty good. And he's right there as far as coverage with Amukamara and Fuller. So he definitely comes up into that starting cornerback range. I mentioned the Bengals, another player rising. William Jackson, first-round pick from last year, finally getting to play. I want to say this was his first start. Bengals fans can correct me on that, but he gets a pick 6 against Aaron Rodgers and didn't really get beat too bad. So definitely a guy that could be rising as this season goes on. Another young corner, Tre'Davious White, looks like a great pick for the Bills. One of many defenders on this defense who are doing a great job within this system, and they're playing real good defense right now, despite the fact that no one's truly standing out. For the Lions, we got Anthony Zettel. He's been starting and is showing that he can play a little bit, so he gets a +2. For the Packers, Geronimo Allison, +1. He had already come up a little bit. Very high praise for Geronimo Allison from both Rodgers and the coaching staff there. Made a lot of plays to help them win that game against Cincinnati. And then also for the Packers coming up is Josh Jones, a safety, rookie safety, second-round pick, total freak of an athlete, a guy you're definitely going to want to try and play with in your franchise modes. But moving all over the field, they were playing him at outside linebacker, inside linebacker, safety, free safety, all over the place. Really helping in the run game. This Packers front plays pretty tough up front, and Josh Jones definitely looks to be a part of that as this season goes on. And then Tom Brady, actually, believe it or not, is now a 99, and that is because the throw power. I am now comfortable saying he can have 96 throw power. I questioned at 40 years old if it could truly be that high, but he physically looks better than he ever has. And he's definitely proving a lot of people wrong, myself included. So he gets the increase in throw power, which brings him to a 99, which is where I want him to be. I think him and Rodgers should both be miles ahead of the next guy, which now they're both 99. I really hope we get to see these two meet in the Super Bowl this year, because it would just be fun to watch these two guys. And then also for the Patriots, Dietrich Wise goes up +3. I said I wanted to see it again, and he looked even better this week, really offering relief to that front seven that needed someone to step up. They say do your job in New England, and Dietrich Wise looking real good, showing off some pass rush and some power getting after the quarterback. A talented rookie out of Arkansas. For the Ravens, maybe a little diamond in the rough here, and credit Pro Football Focus mostly for noticing this, and it's Ryan Jensen. I know they did really bad in London, but Jensen just moving up to being a starting caliber center, taking command of that offensive line that has had some success this year given all the injuries, and I think Jensen being kind of a steady rock in the middle there is definitely helping. For the Redskins, Matthew Ioannidis is playing real well. Probably another good week away from passing up both Stacey McGee and Ziggy Hood on this D-line. This Redskins front in general is playing way better than I expected them to. We also got Junior Gillette getting a +3. Used to be a real nice player, but really hasn't played for 3 years. He already came up one. I mean, I dropped him a bunch to start because I questioned if he could look good. So he is slowly rising up to that mid to high 70s range where I think Madden has him. But not playing football for 3 years. I still want to see him keep it up before I bring him all the way up. But definitely making an impact on this Redskins defense, along with Preston Smith, who I've always liked, but he splits reps, but he always just impresses me when he's out there. And this Redskins defense, if they keep playing like this, they're going to compete in that NFC East. If they play like they did against the Raiders on Sunday Night Football, hell, this Redskins team could win that division, even though I still love the Eagles. So just two more risers here, and then we'll be all done. J.J. Watt, looking good. I think every week I'm going to move him up one until he's a 99 again. Just looking better and better every week coming off that back injury. And then Deshaun Watson, just looking like a guy who's going to be a franchise player for him. Still going to question the upside he's going to have as a quarterback, just with the arm strength, and frankly the surrounding help is not great here. It's actually pretty poor outside of Hopkins. But Watson just looks composed, and he's making plays when there's really nothing there. So he gets +1. He might continue to rise as the year goes on. So that does it for the update this week. Be sure to let me know, again, guys, if there's players on your team that I need to pay closer attention to. And I'll definitely investigate. It's a community roster for a reason. And if you like the video, guys, do consider giving a like, subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter at @TFG_football for live football reactions and some film breakdown as well. So cheers, guys. That does it for this week. We'll see you next week. And enjoy watching football this weekend. Peace out.